The city of Georgetown has been in a deplorable state for the past few years. And of course, there has been some blame game where both sides, the council itself and the administrative aspect, or administrative arm of the city, has been blaming each other for issues and reasons why the council has not been able to fulfill its mandate. I have with me in studio today Ms. Carol Sooba, the acting town clerk, and she's joining me today to discuss the current state of play at the Mayor and City Council and what is happening with the people in the city who continue to suffer as a result of no practical movement in terms of the work the council should have been doing. So, Ms. Sooba, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Like I started off, what exactly is happening in the city? What is happening with the council and the work that they were supposed to be carrying out? Like I said, the citizens of Georgetown are suffering.
Well, Edward, it's like this. The administration had been doing its utmost to provide the services to the citizens of Georgetown. But in so many ways, we were constrained from functioning to our maximum because of the tug-of-war that is happening between the mayor and the majority of the councillors under his command and the administration to do what we are supposed to do. The thing is, the administration has its work cut out for them, but there are some things that we depend upon the policymakers, the mayor and the councillors, that body. They're responsible for certain policies that have to be made in compliance with the relevant laws. And often we would have meetings at the committee level, and these meetings have to be, the decisions taken at these meetings have to be ratified by the statutory body. Most times, in fact, for the past 6 meetings, that's about 3 months or thereabout, we couldn't get any decisions being ratified. We have noted the sufferings of the citizens, and we have tried our best, myself and the senior officers, to do what we can do at our level. The mayor and some of these councillors are not interested in the actual mandate because they are the elected officials. We have, for instance, things like people building the building plans, town clerk certificates, and different aspects. Financial matters, all these were discussed at committee levels, and the decisions were made, and it could not be ratified. Only recently, after the 6 meetings last Monday, the mayor and some of his councillors who formed the majority decided that we will have some decisions passed. But he took great care in ensuring that he would not acknowledge me as the acting town clerk, and he caused confusion. But apparently there were some things on these reports that had to be ratified in his interests, so they did that. And shortly after those decisions were ratified, he caused some confusion and decided that he would not go on with the meeting. He adjourned the meeting.
But, Ms. Sooba, if I could interject, this has been an ongoing issue. You're not the first acting town clerk who would have had these challenges getting past the mayor.
No.
You would have had issues with, well, not only acting, but we would have had issues with Buda Williams, we would have
Yes.
had issues with Yonet Plock.
Yes.
So, and it continuing, while this is happening, the citizens are continuing to suffer. How do you see moving forward from what is happening?
Well, I'm hoping that good sense will prevail and they can do what they were mandated to do, because at all times I'm willing to cooperate with the mayor and the councillors. But you see, Edward, whilst I'm hoping time is going by and the citizens continue to suffer, I want to advise you also, not only the citizens, but the employees and the senior officers per se. We're actually fed up because we have to spend so many hours at meetings being ridiculed, abused, and specifically me since my appointment. You see, Edward, I don't know it no other way. I inherited a council with corruption. Some of these same councillors and the mayor, they were doing some things over the years that these things were sucking the monies of the council up. And I had to quickly plug that hole that the council's finances were going into. Edward, I want to tell you, some of these councillors, they are contractors also. And all
of the city?
Yes.
So they're making, let me interject here again. So some of the councillors are the contractors of the city.
Yes.
So they're making decisions for themselves, in essence.
Yes. Some of the specific councillors with Mayor Green and the Deputy Mayor Chase Green are contractors. One, he claimed that he video statutory meetings. He has some television station, and he wanted to be paid in excess of $15 million. I haven't seen any documents. I don't know how that can happen. Nothing was produced, but I'm to just take these millions and pass it out to them.
So it was paid?
No, I could not do that. Another councillor, he changed from his name, then they made him a councillor, then he put it in his son's name, the documents, then he changed from his son to somebody else's name with some other persons who they claim were contractors, and the town clerk must pay in excess of $18.5 million out. The thing is, no works can be verified. How can I take the ratepayers' money that were paid into the council to do the work in the city? How can the town clerk act and do that?
But I understand that's just two cases you highlighted there. I understand too there is an issue of one of the officers also operating some sort of a communication setup at the council, and he is part of the outfit of the municipality.
Yes.
So that too is him hiring himself.
Yes, and he also functioned or called himself town clerk and issue letters to exempt the payment of taxes. And only recently, a few days ago, I was provided with a letter that only this past May, he issued a letter for the leasing of council's land to a businessman, purporting to be the town clerk, acting, and he even had a town clerk stamp. And that letter was provided to me.
But these cases you're mentioning, Ms. Sooba, is there a possibility of maybe criminal charges being instituted, providing that kind of evidence to have possibly to the police, so that some sort of investigation? Because what you're talking about here is it's deeper than just persons sitting on a council and claiming to be contractors or claiming to be this one or claiming to be that one. It is a case where the monies for the city, the citizens' money that they're paying in taxes and so forth, being used for purposes that they're not supposed to be used for. Well, for purposes that they're supposed to be used for, but those contracts and so forth not going through the right channel and following the right procedures. What can you do from an administrative perspective?
Well, in one case where he exempted in excess of $30-something million, that one the police is investigating right now because the Honorable Minister Whitaker, I wrote him and he has passed that one to the Auditor General and the police, so they are actively engaged in that one. The others, they were so presumptuous, they wrote the minister asking for payment. And I understand one of them said he even wrote the president. But I advised the council, and the council refused my advice that if they claim that they have to be paid, they had another legal course that they can utilize. That's the courts of law. They can file their civil claim if they think that they can be paid. But I don't know who would take all of that millions and pay it out to them, and no verification, no justification. That's what we're facing.
But because I could recall a case recently where the daughter of a government minister was merely a member on a board of a company, not owner of the company, not the operator of the company, but just a member on the board of a company that was bidding, and then there was a whole host of confusion about conflict of interest. Now, you were saying to me that we have a case where councillors who are sitting on the city council making decisions about what are some of the things to be done in the city by contractors, and they themselves are the contractors who are to execute the duties. Isn't that conflict of interest?
It is.
Aren't there some course that can be taken to deal with an issue like that?
In this specific situation, one of them has his daughter, who is an employee in the cashier cage. One of them who's very vocal and disrespectful, who breaks up meetings and always into financial issues. And his daughter works in the cashier cage.
Just go ahead.
And you would be amazed to know the level of which these councillors and the mayor, the lengths to which they will go to have someone for them involved in this specific department. You see, this council used to be a milking cow prior to my appointment as Town Clerk Acting. They had to be paid if they're going to a funeral or some other activities just outside of the boundaries of the city. They had to be paid $10,000 a day. They will go all over the world at different conferences.
When you say, I don't get that part. I ask that you go back again. When they go for a funeral or some simple activity outside of the boundaries of Georgetown, you're talking beyond what is specified as Georgetown?
As Georgetown. $10,000.
Per day?
Yes, they had to be paid. So if they go Linden Town Day and they go 2 days, had to be paid $10,000 for each day.
That covers what? Accommodation and so forth?
No,
or?
You still have to provide transportation for them. And sometimes you have to provide food too. But $10,000, they just earn $10,000 a day like that.
So do they have to go to some of these activities to represent the council, or just go to the activities because they want to go? Well, what is it exactly?
Not really, but sometimes whoever's in charge of the committee will select, and whoever's selected, sometimes officers too. And this is what will happen, officers and councillors, and they're being paid. But there are many things that used to happen prior to my time that can't happen now. Because if the council couldn't pay its employees who they have on roll, why would you have money for everything else? So I had to operate on a zero tolerance.
But I think this has created some problems for you. I understand that you've been harassed continuously. There are threats against your life and all sorts of things happening at the council. In terms of that, though, what are you doing? Have you reported to the police? Are the police taking action against those who would have issued some of these threats? Because I saw once I saw a video of one of the meetings where I think it was the deputy mayor,
yes,
physically pulling a mic out of your hand. Where, in terms of that, where is that in terms of investigation possibly, or the police taking action? Where is that?
Well, the city constabulary, I brought it to the attention, but the whole world saw that. But the city constabulary, they saw that. They provided actually no security at that time, minimal security, and that was allowed to happen. But it has significantly changed in terms of my security. And I am watchful. I am being careful because sometimes when I sit at these statutory meetings, you will see the deputy mayor will deliberately walk on very much behind me, sometimes in the presence of the media, and she will make her remarks, her threats in the public statutory meeting. And I have to contend with that. So what I usually do, have security behind me and at different points, just in the event that I'm scrambled.
But let me ask you a little about your appointment and the council's quote-unquote appointment of Mr. Royston King as town clerk acting. Clearly the constitution does not, or well, the laws governing the city does not, it doesn't allow for, or the council can't appoint.
No.
It is the power of the minister in the absence of local government commission.
You're right.
Right? In the absence of that commission, it is the minister whose prerogative on which the person is appointed town clerk.
Yes.
But you were appointed by the minister while the council appointed Mr. Royston King. In terms of execution of duties, what's happening? Who's sitting in that office at this point in time, and who exactly, if not both of you, executing town clerk duties?
I am the town clerk acting, and I'm functioning as the town clerk acting. Officially, I am the town clerk. Whilst he is not, Mr. King is not the town clerk, I understand he's engaged in groups and organizations, and he has issued letters with the signature as town clerk, which I've seen, and he even has a stamp.
Isn't that illegal, though, for him to have?
It is illegal.
And what action is being taken?
Well, the Honorable Minister is aware of it. Minister Whitaker is aware of it. The matters are active in the court, the legal matters. And I think one or two, they're coming up next week. The appeal court, which is the stay of execution, and some nice orders that were issued before the Honorable Chief Justice and Madam Justice Diane Inchinali. So those matters are before the court.
No, but while those matters are before the court, you have a situation where a man whose appointment is null and void because the authority that appointed him doesn't have the authority to appoint him.
That's true.
But he's executing the duties of a town clerk. He has a stamp as a town clerk. Yes. He's signing as a town clerk. Isn't that something that criminal charges could be instituted? The police could be brought in for this?
Yes.
Does it have to wait on the minister to do this, or could the administration of the council do that, deal with it in terms of getting the police involved in that process?
Well, as we speak here, I'm still seeking legal advice, and I'm to officially bring this to the Honorable Minister's attention on Monday, because the document only came into I only received it a few days ago. So I'm dealing with that, because even in the face of the NISI orders that were granted by Honorable Justice Chang, still continues to function as town clerk. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you that he's receiving full salary as public relations officer, and he takes no instruction whatsoever from me as town clerk acting.
But what could you do? What could you do in that case? He's not taking our instructions. Clearly he's not executing the duties of PRO.
No.
So what could you do as the administrator of the municipality?
I can only bring it to the attention of the minister responsible. I can't do anything. The law does not allow me to do anything to him. I can only bring it to the minister's attention, and I expect the minister to be able to deal with that, because he has the power and authority.
Okay, so you don't have that authority to say, well, okay, I'm not going to pay you anymore because you're not doing your work. Isn't there, but let me ask, isn't there, for administrative staff at the council, isn't there some performance assessment over a particular period that administrators...
Yes, that can happen, but I have brought this, seeing that there are so many matters in the court too, I have brought this officially to the attention of Minister Whitaker, and I have advised him. And I have sought legal advice on this matter. And very shortly, the minister will have to pronounce, because I can't continue, and it's unfair. And he has another officer in his office too, a senior officer also, that they receive in full salary, but they do not function in the positions that they were appointed.
Let me ask you this though. I will talk a little just now about what is happening in the city, because personally I've seen some improvements. To be honest, I haven't heard contractors striking because they're not being paid and so on, garbage collectors and so on. Before we talk about that particular issue, I want us to talk a little about, you spoke earlier about abuse of resources. What is happening at the council? You spoke about persons being paid $10,000 to just step out of Georgetown. We've seen what happened on Easter Monday at the seawalls. How are you arresting the issue of abuse of resources? At the council?
Well, I've had discussion with all the senior officers and their deputies, and I've given instructions. No one is to engage anyone in any transaction without authorized authority, because I wouldn't honor any payment. We have been monitoring even from stationery. We have no works can go on unless they are so authorized. In cases of emergencies, we have systems in place to deal with that. And I can tell you, even with overtime work that used to be abused, and we still have to put some more controls, because you would see there are some people who we will have on the payroll that they work and they come up for payment, but then you don't actually see the work that was done. So I instructed that the programs of work must come at least 1 week in advance. So I must know where they're working, what they're doing, so myself and all the senior officers assigned can monitor to ensure that these people are working for the payment that they receive. We have to put controls in the whole system, because when I became town clerk, we couldn't monitor. Everything was just loose. So we had to harness it. And it's paying off. You would have noticed that contractors don't cry out anymore because we pay them. You would notice that the employees, they're being paid their salaries, their remuneration on time. You would notice that. And we have to, even the statutory deductions, the national insurance, the revenue authority, PAYE, and all those things, we have paid hundreds of millions. At the same time, we're paying for services. Recently, the subvention that the government gave us last year, we bought 2 almost brand new trucks. We received them Friday. They're in the council's compound, and that we will use for the drainage, to do the drainage work in this city. So the controls that we put in place, the monitoring, and then the revenue collection.
Has that improved? That was...
Yes. But we still have some issues that we're trying to control with the pace of the valuation. That we would appreciate if that can be improved somewhat, so that we can get, because you will notice the huge buildings that are going up all over the city, and we have to, as these buildings go up, the valuations will automatically go up. And you will see lots of residential places, they have changed to business, so the rates will automatically change. So we have to continue to assiduously work to improve that we can garner revenue. We were able to be paying GPL on an installment basis, $7 million a month. We try to maintain that. And
this has to do with that huge outstanding balance that you had?
And only recently I'm discussing the audit that was completed a couple of months ago on the street lighting. Mm-hmm. So very shortly, I am to engage GPL again so that we can sit and discuss that we can come to an amicable understanding how to deal with the street lighting, because that is responsible for a huge debt. And there are some businesses that don't intend to pay. And that means we talked about the pirate execution for so many years. And only recently, I decided that myself and officers, senior officers, we will have to commence the pirate execution. Because on my visit to the Starbrook Wharf last week with some of my senior officers, I am so shocked at that situation out there. And that will take an enormous amount, a huge sum of money. And if some of these businesses that don't intend to pay, if they pay,
we'll be able to execute those works.
Yes.
What is happening in terms of the markets? We have had issues with those markets for quite a while.
Yes.
The kitty market, I know there should be some work on the kitty market, and also the Starbrook market, including security. What is happening in terms of renovation and upgrading?
We're all of that on the program, and we're doing what we can do at the moment, and we're on the halfway mark for 2014, and we have to actively, according to our finances, that's how we deal with the works. The kitty market, we had some issues with the back and forth with the mayor in terms of relocating those people. Each time we plan, the officers and councillors, each time we plan that we will relocate to do something, the mayor has some other program. He wants to give it out to somebody, some friend or somebody, and our work is being stalled.
Let me ask you finally, we're almost out of time. In terms of, you spoke about employees being paid on time. Could you say offhand, average, the number of employees of the council? Because we're hearing some huge figures. What exactly is the number at this point in time?
If we take into consideration those that they call special projects, they call them special projects, but they got them on roll just like the normal employees. Mm-hmm. We will be about 900 or nearby.
900
in
employees.
Excess, yes.
But isn't that too much for the city? Do you need all those employees?
No.
And what is happening? Because you have a city council that is strapped for cash. Certainly it's strapped for cash. You have huge debts. You owe GPL. Contractors have to be paid to pick up garbage and a whole host of things. And you have a staff of 900 employees just for the city of Georgetown.
Well, my problem with Mr. Mayor is this. And the Markets and Public Health Committee Chairman, Mr. Councillor Jordan, they want me to contract out all the services and yet retain all the employees. Now, I know the employees can work. So if the employees can work, then we have to have a viable workshop to repair all those trucks that they have there that cannot work, to have our employees actually doing the work, than to go and contract out all the services, because we still have to pay the employees and still find the money to pay the contractors.
But what are the employees doing? The city drains are still blocked. The garbage is still there, except for when the contractors pick them up. What are 900 employees doing in the city of Georgetown?
Some of the persons I don't know, because it's difficult, but I'm trying to find a way, because not only the low-level employees, we are top-heavy, and you would see some of them behaving like terrorists. You would see the recent protests with the municipal councils. You would see some of them, what they do. They're loyal to some political arm, and some of them you don't see them at all. Some of them, like the PRO, and several others, they don't do any work. Some of them attached to the deputy mayor, and to the mayor, you don't know where they work until a protest comes up, then you see what they do.
No, but fine, Ms. Sooba, you're saying that the city council is top heavy. I don't believe the city council can be 400 employees in terms of the top management. it means we have, let's say, 600 of that 900 employees who are working either in the garbage collection section, in the building maintenance section, all those smaller sections that you have. What are they doing? The kiddie market is falling down. The Starbrook market is in a deplorable state. The wharf is in a deplorable state. You spoke about that just now. Drains are blocked in the city. What are they doing?
Well,
and then the council cries about money.
That's what they were doing prior to my appointment. You have a huge payroll, so many persons, that's where the money go, and you actually have limited services. That's what I inherit. And I can't change Rome in a day, but I
understand that. I understand it. But let me ask you finally, you're being harassed, you're being threatened, persons are being appointed to take over from you. Will you quit?
I was never quit, and I can't quit. Because I have a bunch of senior officers who, if they never used to cooperate before, at least they're cooperating now, when I have no intention of quitting. As long as I'm at the helm as Town Clerk, I will do everything through God's strength within my power and the assistance of my officers, decent-minded citizens, and the officials from the local government, all who want to see the restoration of the city. I will work with them.
Ms. Carol Sooba, the acting town clerk, I want to thank you very much for joining me today. Of course, our discussions were focused on the debacle in the city of Georgetown. While the city council is in a heated battle or a heated power struggle, the people of Georgetown continue to suffer. Garbage pile up sometimes, drains are blocked whenever it rains, the place is flooded. 900 employees, but not much is being done in the city. Ms. Sooba, I want to thank you very much for joining me today.
I want to thank you too for affording me this opportunity, and I want to wish all fathers, including our first father, the president of this country, and of course, Mayor Hamilton Green, and yourself, all other fathers, a happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sooba.